Hello, a while ago I debunked the myth of the phytic acid, and so many of you asked me to do the same with lectins, so here we go. So first there was fat and cholesterol, then there was gluten, and now the next fad diet is the lectin-free diet. And if you ask me, I think it's getting really out of control. All food is good food as long as it's real food, and I'm making this video because I don't want you to spend another minute of your life worrying and fearing this innocent thing in food called lectins. So let's get started. So lectins are a sort of protein found in legumes, grains, vegetables and fruit, and you'll be surprised, but even in meat and eggs. Lectins do some good things and some bad things. Some lectins are highly toxic, some are actually beneficial for us. But the truth is that the gurus that have been trying to promote this whole lectin-free diet fad have been trying to push the idea that all lectins are highly toxic no matter what, and there's pretty much no way to remove them from the food. So what do lectins do in the body? They are actually really sticky and they stick cells together, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Bad thing because it might hinder the absorption of some of the nutrients and can also cause leaky guts. Now, leaky gut can cause autoimmune issues and allergies, so that might be a potential drawback, but at the same time, all these studies have only been done in a test tube or in animals, not on actual people. And as you're going to see a little bit later, all of this applies only to raw foods with lectins, which honestly, we as humans don't really consume. Lectins have lots of health benefits as well. They're antibacterial, they strengthen the immune system, and they can even help your body identify and destroy cancer cells. Now, the promoters of the lectin-free diet try to say that most of the major health problems in North America, such as obesity and irritable bowel syndrome and inflammation, are all due to lectins in food, which completely doesn't make sense because North Americans actually eat very little lectins compared to most other countries in the world. So you might be wondering, what are those excluded foods that are high in lectin that nobody on the lectin-free diet should eat? And it's actually a lot of food. So legumes such as beans and lentils will have the biggest amount of lectins. Also whole grains, but then also things like nuts and seeds, tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, dairy, eggs, grass-fed meat, zucchini, watermelon, berries, coffee, chocolate, and even some herbs and spices. So as you can see, if you wanted to follow the diet strictly, there's really not much else left to eat. Literally just a leaf of lettuce maybe. As I said before, the highest amount of lectins is found in legumes and whole grains. But it doesn't mean you have to stop eating them. Quite the contrary, because cooking actually destroys pretty much all of the lectins in them, so they become completely safe to eat. So boiling beans for 30 minutes, for example, removes 100% of all lectins. Soaking them is not enough to remove enough lectins. Also, using a slow cooker is not a good idea because temperatures in it will not be high enough to remove enough lectins. Canned beans are also safe because the process of canning beans actually destroys most of lectins as well. Now, when it comes to grains, again, boiling grains completely destroys all the lectins. Fermenting and soaking grains also destroys most of the lectins, up to 95%. Why not try making some sourdough bread? I've got quite a few sourdough recipes on my channel and I'll link them down for you in the description box. And that's the truth. Fermenting, cooking legumes and grains destroys all the lectins. So this whole myth is really a myth and nothing else. And humans have been cooking a big chunk of the food for exactly that reason, because most of the foods have some kind of toxins that are neutralized by cooking, and also cooking enhances the nutrient absorption of so many different foods. So that's why we as humans have been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years. And for example, one of the arguments that the lectin-free crowd uses is that, look, raw kidney beans are so highly toxic, they can cause diarrhea and vomiting, and that's all due to lectins. But honestly, who eats raw kidney beans, or any beans for that matter? They're just too hard to be eaten raw. And for example, cashew nuts is another example. They are highly toxic when they're raw. That's why all the cashew nuts out there are actually cooked, they're roasted. I think they're roasted, I'm not sure exactly they do, but they're not raw, even though they call them raw, and raw food eaters think they're eating a raw thing, but actually they're not, because if they were raw, it would just kill them. So you might have heard of two people who I would say are the main promoters of this whole lectin-free diet fad, apart from the paleo crowd, and those are Dr. Gundry and Dr. Dalemo. Dr. Gundry is a cardiologist from the US, and is the author of a book called The Plant Paradox, which, by the way, is a great example of how much science can be stretched in order to match somebody's agenda. It's just incredible. And he also sells this really very expensive and very helpful supplement called the Lectin Shield, which at only $63 a month is going to protect you from the evil lectins, which, as I said, are completely destroyed by boiling anyway. So that's a very useful supplement, isn't it? And Dr. Adamo is the author of the Blood Type Diet book and the Genotype Diet book and many, many other books. And I've read most of them. And to be honest, the thing that really stands out the most for me is how much they contradict each other. So he also sells a lot of expensive supplements and software products and of course his books. So one thing I can say about that guy, that he's a brilliant marketer and is really good at making money, that's all. But this whole lectin-free fad is really nothing else but a fad. Now, if you're wondering why people feel better, at least short term, when they go on the lectin-free diet, it's because they start really being aware of what they put in their mouth, and that's really the most important step when it comes to better health or healing. So they eliminate processed foods, white sugar and low quality dairy and things like that. So of course they feel better. It's no surprise. But long term, their diet is so restrictive and so bad for our mind. It causes so much stress that long term is not beneficial. It's dangerous. The more varied our diet, the more chances we have to get all of the nutrients that we need. If somebody has digestive issues and has trouble with grains or legumes, it's not because of the lectins, it's because they are naturally a little bit more difficult to digest. So somebody with a weaker digestion would have issues with them. So why not just go off them for a few months while strengthening and healing the digestion, but not doing this crazy restrictive lectin-free diets just for the sake of it. It just doesn't make sense. And look, for example, at Ayurveda, khichdi, the dish that is the most healing dish, used for short cleanses, for those in convalescence, for those with digestive issues, and it's literally the easiest thing to digest. It's all just rice and mung beans, and both are full of lectins, yet it's the most healing thing out there. Also, beans and grains are literally the staples of the Mediterranean diet and of most of the blue zones in the world, who are known for the extreme longevity. So how can something so unhealthy sustain those people in nearly perfect health for thousands of years? Just think about it. So here we go. The lectin-free myth is debunked. Let me know what you think. Are you afraid of lectins? Are you eating them without any second thoughts? Have this video helped you set yourself free from the unnecessary food fears? I hope it's helped you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.